Hi there, everyone. My name is Christian Eschbach, and welcome to another one of my album reviews. This is the first one I have recorded in the new year, and as today is Wednesday, January the 4th, I'm actually recording this, editing it, and putting it up online, and I'm behind schedule. Normally, I would do this at 8 o'clock in the morning. By the time this goes up online, it'll probably be 8 o'clock in the evening. All right, so we are talking about Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds. No More Shall We Part. Okay, so I have a history with this album. First off, my introduction to Nick Cave, much like everybody else, comes from Metallica. And when I was out looking for my first Nick Cave album, it was a choice between this album, which I will explain why in a moment, or the album that Loverman was on, because I wanted to get an album that I actually knew a song off of. Now, on this album, there's a song called Oh My Lord on here, which my buddy Benny Dreadful, I'm not sure if he has anything on YouTube, musician I used to work with. I haven't worked with him in a long time. Great musician slash storyteller. Very much enjoyed his style of music and what he brought to the table. He was really into Nick Cave, and he introduced me to it, made me a mix, and one of the songs on there was from Nick Cave. It was Oh My Lord. So I ended up picking up this album instead of the one that had Loverman on it, and I will be honest, I still haven't gotten back to it yet. I should. And I'm glad I picked up this album. Now, this album is definitely something a little bit different. I don't have a lot of Nick Cave to compare it to. What I have heard, he always has kind of I don't want to say a similar vibe, and I haven't listened to enough Nick Cave, okay? So let's be very clear. I'm sure styles have changed up. This vibe on here is the vibe I'm most familiar with. And it's kind of like this, and I'll mention this a lot during the review, it's kind of like David Bowie meets Typo Negative, kind of like there's a very gothy kind of element to it, very kind of dark, somber. Most people I know that were into goth back in the 90s would call goth. Not the way it's all splintered and fractioned out now. But you've still got kind of that pop-ish element to it and that showmanship kind of element to it. There's a part, it's very Bowie-esque. Nick Cave's presentation definitely reminds me a lot of Bowie. Especially not so much necessarily 70s Bowie, but more when you get into 80s Bowie, kind of like The Lodger and stuff like that. A lot kind of reminds me of that. The Berlin era, even. So let's get into this, all right? Album opens up with As I Sat Sadly by Her Side. Slow number, as I mentioned, somber way to start the album. Now, there is nothing upbeat to kick off the album with. It's going to be somber the whole way through, okay? Let's be very clear. I'm going to mention this a lot the whole way through. And I've already mentioned the Bowie typo thing. It's Bowie in here in my notes I've got. Is Bowie for the instrumentation, like the actual instruments being used. And it's the voice and the word choices. The lyrics, the music content itself works for either Bowie or Typo Negative. The dark brooding, Bowie does do that, is definitely, in this case, especially mixed with the very long songs, like every song on this album's got some length to it. Definitely, and all multiple arrangements and extended arrangements and stuff like that. Very much more of the typo kind of vibe going on. Good way to start off the album, though. Definitely lets you know what you're getting into. And No More Shall We Part. The words dark, brooding, somber, slow, mellow, melancholy are interchangeable amongst every song on this album. Very much goth while not being goth once again. The song is really pretty with the way it mixes it. It keeps it really simple. It's got some nice stops and starts in there until it starts building around the 2.5 minute marker, give or take. And it just kind of keeps getting bigger and bigger and sweeter and prettier. It's got such a wonderful development in it, both musically and lyrically. Hallelujah. Now, when I was listening to this on the computer, I got a chuckle out of this. All right. So when I first picked up this album, I just ripped it, threw it in. The times aren't on the back here. And I looked at the times on the computer, and this one clocks in at 7 minutes and 46 seconds. And the track's called Hallelujah. And I hadn't listened to the album at all when I saw that. So right away, at that length, I'm thinking, oh shit, that's got to be a Leonard Cohen cover, right? Nope. Nope, no, no, no. Same name, but nothing to do. Completely different beast. um, and the nice part about this song is it's just one of those songs you just kind of sink into and let it wash you away. Just kind of takes you somewhere. But it's definitely not. I mean, it's slower and somber, kind of like the Leonard Cohen Hallelujah, but it is its own beast. All right, after that, we're into Love Letter. This is softer and prettier change of pace after the last song. It is a love song, so I'm only so interested. And the song all honestly feels about a minute longer than it really is. After that, we're on to 15 Feet of Pure White Snow. Oh, fuck. All right, this one. This one is a jazz fusion number chronicling the horrors of cabin fever. Cabin fever. All right. This is probably my second favorite song on this album. Oh my lord. I've already mentioned Oh My Lord, which is why I bought this album, okay? And I will get to it as I go. This 15 feet of pure white snow is just powerful. Absolutely magnificent. Like the build up in it, the storytelling in it, and everything that's just going on. And if you're one of my regular viewers, I'm not a huge lyric guy usually. Nick Cave is all lyric, man. Lyric and music. That's the beauty. I say but he's a storyteller. So it's all story mixed with the music. And yeah, sure, he sings it. But it's still the story and it's beautiful. And this one here is just I take it purely at the literalness of, to me, it reads as a song about, basically struggling with cabin fever under 15 feet of pure white snow. If you want to read in between the lines and kind of play around with interpretation a little bit, you can go with 15 feet of pure white snow. In which case, the whole thing still works the same way. It's just, little twisted. All right, but great song. Oh my god, this is a song you really should check out. Then we go on to God Is in the House. Okay, so this one's a bit of a tricky one. Now, coming after 15 Feet of Pure White Snow, this is quite the change. Quite the change. Total different vibe in it. 15 Feet of Pure White Snow is powerful and energetic, but nervous energy tension. That's why I said it could be there's just an incredible insanity behind it. God Is in the House. This is basically, to me, Sunday church service. Honestly, it is. Musically, the change is like a nice favorite point from the previous song, Lyrically, to me, it's basically a church sermon, and not necessarily your standard service. This one is more small town, more progressive, more, okay. So in an age of politically correctness, I'm going to say, wrong terminology more from the 90s, but in an age of wokeism, this song is actually kind of like a shot across the bow at wokeism almost, because it's this beautiful little song about this small town. Everybody goes to church, but they're very progressive. They've got a woman mayor, and they've got this, and they've got that, and blah, blah. All talking about how, yeah, we don't need this big city BS. We just have our cute little town that does our cute little thing, and we love and we enjoy, and blah, blah, blah. It's all the right parts. It's all the what would Jesus do part, you know? And, you know, my name is Christian. I am not a Christian, but I like when people personify the actual concepts and teachings of actual Jesus Christ, not the rest of the bullshit in the Bible. Real, you know, the good stuff, you know, the love everybody the same, the, you know, the rich are going to hell in a handbasket and the meek shall inherit the earth, or, you know, whatever way you want to look at it. I know I'm twisting some stuff there, but that's not the point. The point is, this is some good stuff, although it sounds like it's a Sunday church service. All right. Oh my Lord. So I've covered every reason why I bought this album. So after this song, as for the song itself, okay, it's got this great build in it, this great musical narrative. And I will say that the narrative of this song would personally inspire me in one of my later bands. I don't know if I have a version of it online to listen to. We did a song called Crooked Little Tree. Now, if there is a version online, it's not the original long laid out version. The original version was like 8 minutes long, had this long intro that was kind of annoying and stuff like that. So, but it had the same mentality I borrowed from this. The idea of a person going to their execution kind of and getting wrapped up in that. Really beautiful kind of song. But this song is like on a completely different level when it comes to music in general. This was long after Loverman was released and Metallica had covered Loverman. As a matter of fact, this was almost 15 years later, 15 years after Metallica covered it. Well, no, sorry, that's not right. 13, 14 years after Metallica covered Loverman. So this was significantly later. This is a song I love to hear Metallica take a crack at, man. Oh, this would be a good one. Okay. Sweetheart Come follows that up. Once again, very, very beautiful. Very somber, but there's a beauty to this somber on here. It all wraps up in this wonderful melancholy you want to hear that makes you think the song is Nashville goth. Once again, it's Type O Negative meets David Bowie, but this one has definitely kind of this Nashvilleian kind of vibe to it almost. It's really kind of interesting. And when I say Nashville, I'm not talking like modern Nashville country. I'm talking like Grand Ole Opry Nashville, you know, like, I mean, real Grand Ole Opry. Okay. You know, anybody hears that knows what I'm talking about. After that, we get into The Sorrowful Wife. This one starts out as Ziggy Goth Dust. And it's the most Ziggy Goth Dust of all the songs on this album. The song builds probably the most hurricane-like level of emotional storming. Just after 3-minute marker, the song just explodes. It's a true kind of 70s jazz-infused rock and roll that is just everywhere and completely in sync at the same time. So, I mean, like, you've got all the instruments kind of just going off, doing their thing, but perfectly forming in with each other. Yeah, you're talking like King Crimson-y kind of level of jam, jazz, rock, and fusion kind of beauty. We came along this road, follows that. It's nice, but after The Sorrowful Wife, it's a bit of a come down. I also think it drags on a little longer than it needs to. Gates to the Garden, this one feels more like a continuation of the last song. This one has a bit almost of a Jim Morrison and the Doors kind of vibe if you replace their blues with classical. So if you took out that kind of blues element, like if you took Doors music, that basic quartet, vocals, organ, guitar, drums, okay? Take that basic quartet, and instead of them having that kind of blues leaning vibe to them, switch it to a classical leaning vibe. And that's really how this one feels. And then the album finishes with Darker with the Day. This song has one of the best lines I have ever heard in a song. And as a artist, a musician, etc., 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 it is one of the most truest lines ever. I thought of my friends that had died of exposure and the ones that died from the lack of it. I had a buddy who used to say, people die from it. When bars will say, "Oh, play for the you got to play free. You play for the exposure." Well, yeah, people die from exposure. That's why I love this line so much. Basically, this closes out the album very slowly and somberly. There is no fast song on the album, as I mentioned at the beginning, nor a happy song, nor anything really in between. This is just a somber freaking album. But it's not a depressing album. That's the thing. Like Type O Negative, which I mentioned a lot going through here. I love Type O. The day that Peter Steele died broke my heart. That was a band I was still looking forward to for years to come releasing music. And Type O is the perfect example of a somber, depressing band. I joke around that, if I put on, certain albums of theirs, you just stay away. It's going to be a sad, miserable time. As a matter of fact, there's some of their albums I just don't put on anymore because of how depressing they are. This is not that level of sad and depressing. It's just the stories that are being told are more meant to elicit more emotion, meant to elicit more drama and passion and stuff like that. But in a way where, like I said, it's more somber. Anyways, I wouldn't recommend this album to just anybody. If you are your basic, I listen to everything kind of listener, because, people say they listen to everything. They don't really listen to everything. So if you're one of those people that I listen to everything, this is not for you. If you are the type of person who appreciates well-crafted music, this is for you. If you're someone who appreciates great lyrical narrative, this is someone for you. You don't need to be pretentious. You don't need to be artsy. You just have to be someone that appreciates good music and good storytelling to enjoy this album. I've played it for metal friends who very much enjoy this. I'm a hard rock heavy metal guy. I very much enjoy this album. This is very much not a hard rock heavy metal album. But I also love my classic rock and stuff like that, which, there's a little more of that in here, sort of. Like I said, you got that jazz fusion rock kind of thing going in there a lot. So that way, it does. In a way, Nick Cave reminds me of Alice Cooper. If you took, like, say, Alice Cooper's Lace and Whiskey album, which some people will say, whoa, dude, that's a bad example. Okay. But what I'm trying to get at is if you go into that kind of music that Alice kind of had going on there, or even around that time period, Goes to Hell's applies as well. So does Welcome to My Nightmare. Yeah, they're classified as rock albums, but were they really rock albums when you listen to all the different styles that are in there? You can even say that about the Muscle of Love album. There's Muscle of Love album actually might even be a great example to use when talking about this album. All of Alice's kind of off albums that were rock albums, but they're not really rock albums. They contain rock elements, but they contain a lot of other elements too. And that's kind of what this is. All right, I've rambled. So do I think this album is an album worth owning? Yes. If you are a music person, this is an album worth owning. I totally think so. If you are a surface level music listener, not you. If you're here because you liked my Christina Aguilera review because you like Christina Aguilera, or if you watched my Brandy review and went, okay, what the hell is this guy gonna say next? If you like Brandy, this is not for you. Okay, if you try to defend Brandy, this is not for you. You know, if you're, no, granted, to be fair, I'm Metallica. You know, you can't go to Metallica and shout, Metallica. You know. Okay, still love that shit though. All right. Okay, folks. On that, I'm gonna leave it there. Let me know what you think. That's what the comment section is for. Please hit that like button, the subscribe button, the bell for notifications. That helps out everybody, me, you, all that other wonderful stuff. There's a link below that will take you to Patreon. Peace, love, take care, happy New Year.